trash for no particular reason?
Yeah.
That's retarded.
Half of my communication is through insults.
Yeah, that's retarded. Okay. So then, well, if you're not going to talk to Leon, I also wanted to address this. Why did you ban Leon?
We were told to ban him if he did anything even slightly sus, and according to Parrot, him saying he didn't care about the rules was good enough. He was basically on zero tolerance that if he did anything even slightly off, we were supposed to get rid of him. So
Why do you think that's off? Or are you just taking Parrot's word for no reason?
I mean, I'm taking his word because it's his server and he was the one who said to do it.
Well, I'm asking you, do you think it's justified?
It's okay.
I mean, I don't care.
He doesn't care.
I know that you don't care. I'm asking, shut the fuck up, Leon. Okay, I don't care. Yeah, I'm gonna ban you, Leon.
No,
I don't give a fuck if you think that, or like if you're doing whatever. If he's the owner, right, and you follow whatever he's saying, that's fine. I'm asking, do you think it's justified?
I mean, yeah.
Oh, wait, why? Do you think that it would be hypocritical?
Well, no, I think the only justification for banning someone if you own the server is whatever the owner wants to ban them for, as long as it's not against terms of service.
Okay,
like, you could ban me right now, and I wouldn't care.
Did you just disregard what I just told you? I don't care if, like, Parrot said, oh, yeah, please ban him. Right, we're disregarding that. I'm asking you specifically. Do you think that if you were the owner, do you think that would be justified?
Yeah. If it's my server, as long as I'm not breaking Discord's rules, then yeah.
Shut the fuck up, Leon. Okay. Yeah, I'm server muted him. Okay, so you're just banning him because you can?
Well, yeah, I was given a reason to, and that reason happened, and then I did.
If that reason's justified, though.
Yeah, because it's Parrot's server, and he literally makes.
Oh my god. I'm saying, do you think that rule's actually justified? If I made a rule that I think that anybody with the name, like, Godtounge should just be banned, right? Even if, like, you don't care, I'm asking, would you think that reason justifies it? I don't care if it's his server. It's not the point.
I mean, it being his server is why it's justified. He can do whatever he wants with it.
Okay, well, he's obviously trying to keep some, like, level of justification. He's just not banning people for no reason. He's banning people and giving them unjustifiable reasons. They're just retarded. He says things that are retarded.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm asking, do you think what he did is justified?
I don't have an opinion on it. I literally do not care enough to form an opinion.
Great mod. Okay. So then, oh, sure. Yeah, what do you think's, like, your favorite verse, Godtounge?
My favorite?
Yeah, or best, whatever.
Either, like, Exalted or Kingdom Hearts.
Okay, why not use both? Just use a character. I don't care.
Against what?
Oh, the Islamic god.
Yeah, I don't know shit about Islam.
Yeah, and I don't know shit about Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, so
what about the Christian god? What about the Christian god?
I'm not a Christian either.
Wait, so then you'll debate people.
What about a god? Okay, we'll make one up. What about a god that can only pick up sticks and it's street level? There. Happy?
Yeah, do you want to go with that?
So do you have, like, an actual, like, serious topic, or?
Yeah, this is a serious topic. Okay. I'm trying to make it extremely uphill.
Why?
Why? Because I think you're a retard.
Why?
Why? Okay, well, we just went over, like, the whole rules thing, and I think you just banned him for, like, such a retarded reason. I don't care if it's server. It's just completely retarded for you to ban Leon.
Why?
Okay, if you want to go into, like, this infinite regress of whys, as I said before, you banned him for such a retarded reason. You, like, there's, like, 2,500 messages of people saying kill yourself, and you said kill yourself and you got banned for that, apparently?
That isn't what I banned him for, though.
Okay, for saying that he doesn't care about the rules, I mean, Leon obviously uses hyperbole a lot. When he says that you should get a haircut and that you look like you fought Silver Surfer outside of a Walmart, do you think he's being literal, Godtounge?
I don't care.
Okay, yeah, you're a retard.
At this point, he said he unironically didn't care about the rules and said that numerous times when asked about it, so I got rid of him.
Yeah, and that was probably also hyperbole.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, you're a retard. I don't know why you just, like, say unfortunate in response to that.
Because...
Either way, you're missing the point here. Even if I think you're a retard, I'm trying to have, like, a specifically uphill topic.
Okay.
Yeah,
and
so...
I don't like debating things where it's, like, only contingent on, like, you know, the two sides not knowing Like, I don't like debating things if I don't know a side of the topic, unless it's like for a tournament where that's the whole point, right?
Okay, sure. So then, yeah, I'll use fucking Goku.
Okay, you want to do Goku versus Xehanort?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah. So then, do you want to? No, fuck. We don't need to cap anything. Sure. So, do you want to begin?
You can if you want. I don't mind.
Yeah, I think Goku would just one shot.
All right. How? Where do you have Goku scaled?
I have him at planetary.
All right. Based on like Vegeta, I guess. Like, where do you post scans in here?
Do you need scans?
Yeah,
just post it in anime debate.
I doubt you would just accept any claim that I make about Xehanort. I wouldn't.
That's not what I said. I said, do you need scans for like planetary Goku?
No, I'm just wondering where do I post scans here?
I'm pretty sure there's a scans chat. You can post them in fucking anime debates.
I don't have image perms.
Okay, Zareth, give him perms. Or do it in general, I don't fucking care. Whatever you want.
Yeah.
Okay, well, he gave me perms for general, so whatever.
Okay. Yeah, so what's your claim here?
Okay, one sec. Okay, so I'll just start by arguing that Xehanort is Universal Plus, since he's able to wield and create an item called the X-Blade, which is stated to be formed by a higher dimensional clash of powers.
Oh, that's incoherent.
And those powers, were the different Keyblade wielders fighting near the end of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Well, that blade's incoherent, so you can't use that as an argument.
Incoherent in what sense?
Well, how can you determine that it's higher dimensional?
It says so.
Okay, well, how can you determine that's true?
Okay, what standards would I need to meet to prove that it was true?
I don't think you could prove something's higher dimensional.
Why not?
Okay, well, you can't comprehend something that's higher dimensional, so how could you determine it's higher dimensional?
Wait, why can't we comprehend them if we literally have, like, definitions for what higher dimensions are?
Okay, we can comprehend,
if you want to say, like, I can't visualize a four-dimensional object.
Well, if you want to say that you can conceptualize it, that's fine, but there's a difference between the fundamental form and something literally existing. How do you know that this exists?
Well, yeah, nothing in all of fiction literally exists. All of fiction
it would have to exist in its fiction. Yeah, you'd have to prove that it exists in its fiction, yeah.
Yeah, so I cannot, like, physically imagine a four-dimensional object, but fictional characters can.
Well, no, you'd have to prove that.
Well, yeah. Here are characters talking about a higher dimensional object.
Okay, and here I am saying I'm talking about a higher dimensional object. It's my pillow.
Huh?
Yeah, like, the point is that I don't see why I should take this for granted. Like, I don't get the point of this. Like, I need something that actually demonstrates this, because this is just, like, bullshit here. Like, I can't comprehend this, and there's a difference between, like, the fundamental concept of it. My bad, that's a bit of tautology, but there's a difference between, like, the fundamentals of it and, like, it being literally fourth dimensional. So the statement isn't enough.
What standard of evidence do you need for, like, a statement of something being higher dimensional? Like, what would be I would need, like, a
modus ponens syllogism, or, like, something like modus. I'd need, like, P implies Q, or my P, something like that. Like, do you know what, like, modus ponens is?
No.
Okay, sure. Do you know what, like, a syllogism is?
Not by word. I've probably heard of it before.
Okay. A syllogism would just be an argument. So, for example, just like a logical format, I guess. So, do you know how arguments are properly formatted?
I don't do formal arguments, so probably in whatever way you're about to talk about.
Yeah, just premise, conclusion arguments, right? So you probably do them, but you probably don't realize that you're doing them. So, for example, sharks eat fish. Sharks will always eat fish if there are fish around them. There are fish. So from that, we can draw that sharks do eat fish, in this case. That's an example of modus ponens. So do you have an example of a modus ponens syllogism to put him at planetary or above?
Okay, wait, why is modus ponens, like, the only reason that, or the only way that you see to form arguments.
I'm giving an example.
Like, for example, what do you consider the validity, which this statement is, of like a third person narrator, like that isn't a character within the universe?
What? My bad.
Yeah, like when it comes to like standards of evidence, what do you consider the standard as, or how valid would like a third person narrator be? Like that isn't a character in the universe and is just speaking on it from the outside.
I think they're equally as valid as somebody in the story.
Why is that?
Okay, well, I don't see any differentiation between them.
A character in the story only has, whatever amount. Well, let's say you have a 3-dimensional character in a story, unless they have some kind of evidence of a higher dimensional mind. If they said something was higher dimensional, it wouldn't matter, right? In the case of a third-person narrator, they're speaking from outside of the narrative to, us, the observer of the fiction, to say, hey, this is how this thing is.
Right. I mean,
so if a third-person narrator,
but in order, if you're trying to say, okay, well, they have this higher dimensional knowledge because this person would be like 3D, for example, and then this person, like the narrator, would be like 4D or like higher dimensional, so they could like actually comprehend and like state these things, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Well, you'd have to presuppose that those things exist.
No, I wouldn't. The evidence for they exist would be the narrator that is describing the universe to us.
Well, no. If you're trying to say that this narrator's fourth dimensional or higher dimensional to give validity to the propositions that are being stated about this sword or keyblade or whatever it's called, right? You'd have to presuppose in the first place that the fourth dimension even exists or that this person even is fourth dimensional.
Well, no, they don't have to be fourth dimensional. It is an outside. It isn't a character within the fiction. It is something outside giving information about the universe to the observers.
Right, and they literally just can't. They can't.
Why?
Like fucking. Okay, well, as I said before, they can't really comprehend these things. So their validity, the validity of their statements.
Why can a narrator speaking about a universe to us, the observers of that fiction, not comprehend it?
The validity of their statement is as valid as me saying, okay, well, my pillow's extra dimensional. The problem with what you're saying is that the roots of it is just saying, oh, well, actually, this narrator's outside of the narrative, and they don't have anything. They're just giving what they know about the universe, right?
Well, no. It's not them giving what they know. This isn't like a It's not like a first or second person narrator. It's just statements about how things work within the universe.
Yeah, and those statements,
narrator exists within a story.
Those statements are presupposed to be true.
Wait, how are they presupposed?
Okay, well, do they have any argumentation or like supporting proposition for them?
What needs to be supported for them?
Okay, they need to have a modus ponens syllogism, for example.
Why do they need to have that?
Because that is an example of something that is deductively valid. All you have is a presupposition. So you're presupposing that this is actually what is.
Okay. If there is, for example, right, this would basically be just like a preponderance of evidence. There is the statement that this is what is, and there isn't anything that says it isn't, right?
No, that's dumb. A statement can't just stand because there isn't any contradicting evidence to it. That's not how propositions work. You have to actually have supporting propositions to an argument. So an argument has to have premises to its conclusion. You can't just say, okay, well, present an argument in refutation to that. You actually need to have premises for the argument.
Yeah, the premise is that Xehanort is higher dimensional, and the argument is that
conclusion.
He is. No, the premise is that he's higher dimensional, and evidence is that there is, this thing he can create that is stated by an omniscient third-person narrator to be higher dimensional.
No, you're mixing up a premise and a conclusion. A premise would be like your entailment, your argument, your reasoning. The conclusion would be like your claim.
Well, no. The premise is your claim. Your premise is like the position that you hold. Your evidence, supports that premise.
It's the entailment. Yeah. Either way, I don't think you really know much about this, but I'm not gonna go on this long tangent. It's evident that we disagree, so we can just leave it as what we think a premise and a conclusion to be. Just the reasoning and the claim, right? We can just leave it at that. We don't have to use those specific words, okay? So then, moving forward, I don't know what the evidence would be for this, because all we have is just presupposition to what would be. You have nothing else. You can't do anything.
Okay, what evidence do you have that Goku is planetary?
Oh, well, based upon people that are weaker than him destroying planets.
How do you know they're actually planets? How do you know that any planet within the Dragon Ball universe has any like relevant size to the real universe?
Well, we're presupposing that they actually do scale to the real universe, but that's just an argument from there's no differentiation, so we just assume the same, right? We assume that it's the same.
Wait, I don't agree with that. Why do we assume that it's the same?
Well, if there is no differentiation to something, we assume it's the same. If you can't prove that Godtounge, if you can't prove that our arguments are different, then we just assume that they're the same.
I don't agree with that. I wouldn't assume I wouldn't assume the opposite just because you can't prove one, right?
Okay, well, so hold on. Wait. So if I have an argument to say that they're the same, right? If they're both said like to be planets, right? If this is a planet and this is a planet, and they say, oh yeah, this is massive, right? And they're accentuated to be the same thing, right? That would be just a specific premise for that, or a specific reasoning for that. So you'd have more reasoning to that, and it wouldn't be an appeal to probability argument. It'd just be Occam's razor. There's a difference between presupposing upon evidence and presupposing upon nothing. You can't have a contingent presupposition. That's not how that works.
Wait, what is my supposed presupposition contingent on?
I said that presuppositions can't be contingent, but I said that your entire argument's contingent upon the presupposition that is that what the universe actually is this. And the difference between these two.
Wait, when did I say anything? When did I say anything about the universe in my earlier argument? That's what I'm asking you about.
I just wanted to finish this. No, I just wanted to finish this, and then you could respond, right? So you're presupposing what is, right? And there's a difference between what I'm presupposing and what you're presupposing. You're presupposing something based upon literally nothing, and I'm presupposing things based upon like things that are similar, right? So if we have things that are similar, from that I can draw a more like probable conclusion than what you're saying.
Wait, no. Okay, so tell me again what my presupposition is, because your presupposition you're saying is that the universe of Dragon Ball is similar to our own, essentially.
Or planets, at least, yeah.
Okay, and what am I presupposing?
That there is higher dimensional things.
Okay, why is that a presupposition?
Why is that a presupposition? Okay, because there's nothing for the argument. The argument has no entailment. No. Hold on. Actually, no, that's my bad. There's no entailment for the claim, so it isn't even an argument. It's just a presupposition at the point, because you don't even have an entailment, you don't have any evidence.
Okay. I still don't agree with you that a statement can't be evidence.
Okay, well, even if you don't agree, you haven't demonstrated that, because again, yeah, I think my pillow is universal plus, or it's extra dimensional, right? That doesn't fully demonstrate it. And even if there's a fucking third person or narrator in my life, a narrator, and they said, oh yeah, his pillow is extra dimensional, or they said something that's completely just retarded, like a reductio ad absurdum, right? It wouldn't be evidence.
I mean, what if it just wouldn't be retarded though? Like if for example, you have it. Yeah, like if you have
then
what
it'd
is
be fine to assume so. It'd be fine to.
So
but this is retarded.
What is illogical about a higher dimensional object existing in the Kingdom Hearts
Well, we
universe?
know literally nothing about it, so we can't make a positive claim about it.
And this is why I didn't want to debate something my opponent didn't have knowledge of.
Well, I don't think I need knowledge to win this. I'm just saying.
But wait, you're rejecting my argument because you don't have the knowledge, and you're saying you're saying it's an absurd presupposition because you don't have the knowledge, and then saying that you're still fine debating it without the knowledge.
Well, I'm rejecting the argument mainly because you just said that, oh, well, this is the case. Like, if it was to say, like, oh, yeah, he destroyed a planet, and there was actually some reasoning for that, just like in Dragon Ball, then sure, that'd be fine, right? But you're just saying, like, oh, well, he's universal plus because it was stated, right? And statements just don't automatically have deductive validity to them. That's not how validity works. You don't just assign things soundness to them. I don't know where that conception was ever just, like, made.
Well, no, but it depends on, like, what's making the statement, like, if an omniscient third-person narrator is making a statement about the universe in which they're narrating, it is true. That is the purpose of the narrator to
omniscience is contradictory.
Yeah, I don't mean omniscient literally. I mean like the type of narrator, like a third-person omniscient narrator that you learn about in like English class or whatever.
Well, they aren't omniscient and they don't know everything. And even if they knew something, their knowledge would just be flawed then. Or what is to be would just be flawed.
Why would we assume that their knowledge is flawed when they're like the intention of their creation for
because if we don't,
they're made by the author to confer information.
Because if we don't have like an argument for the truth of a proposition, we assume it's falsity, at least in some cases, right?
Well, no. I wouldn't assume it's false. I would just be on the neutral, and whichever side there's more evidence for is more likely to be true.
Yeah, I think that you can use Occam's razor, but you don't have an Occam's razor. You just have
no. I'm not using Occam's razor. I'm using preponderance of evidence. There is evidence for this thing, and there isn't evidence against it.
Okay, there is evidence. Right, there isn't any evidence for this positive, so we just assume the negative.
Well,
That's all it comes down to.
No, because I still disagree that no statement can be or can't be evidence. Rather. Like there are like depending on like who makes the statement is very different when it comes to how valid it is.
Yeah, if you're trying to say that if somebody has an authority, right? If somebody has like an authority for a statement, right? Let's say somebody that's really intelligent and knows everything about a topic. Let's say God says something.
Like a narrator of a story.
But their knowledge is flawed.
Why?
Okay, why is their knowledge the case? How do you know that this is true? You're just this is where my argument comes into the case. You're presupposing that their knowledge is true. You don't have any argument for that.
Well, yeah, you're acting like the narrator is like an actual being when it isn't.
Well,
the narrator isn't like an actual person making a claim.
Right. We can just take out like all sapience and like individualism to this narrator, right? It wouldn't mean anything still. You need some validity for the statement. You're presupposing that their knowledge is to be the case.
Yeah, I do think, and I do think that, for example, like a narrator of a story whose job is to confer information about the universe to the reader, I do think that their statements are valid.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I don't see the validity in that. I don't know how you got to the conclusion that it's sound or valid.
Because the purpose of it exists to give information about this fictional universe to the reader.
Right, and that's based upon what this individual.
To describe it.
Right, that's based upon like what is to be known, and what is to be known can be false.
So you're saying that the statement is what it is, but it was made to be false.
I said it could be false. It could be true. It could be false. You don't have an argument for its soundness, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I simply just don't disagree that
disagree?
I don't agree that like a narrator is, how do I put this? I'm still under the opinion that like a narrator whose job it is to give information about the universe to the reader is speaking the truth.
Right. It's my as your teacher, right? For example, let's say that you're a student and I'm a teacher, right? It's my job to teach you, right? Let's say that teachers obviously aren't omniscient, right? And whenever let's say that they're writing something on the board, they accidentally misspell a word, right? Even if it's their job to teach you how to spell, let's say because, right? There's spelling tests in like second grade, right? Let's say it's their job to teach you how to spell because, okay? Well, even if it's their job, they can just still say things that are false, or still do things that are not the case, or affirm things that are not the case. So just because it is their job, that does not give them an ultimate authority.
Well, yeah, and unless that teacher was like pre-programmed to do everything correctly by the person who has absolute knowledge over the universe.
Well, the difference is like no, there isn't even a difference. You're just saying that it's their job to teach us, right? About the universe and about this fictional verse, right? But the problem is that you have to presuppose what they know is even true. Like you don't know anything about it. Even if it's their job, it doesn't mean anything because they can still be wrong about their job.
Yeah, but that's like it's still not the same as like a person who's been tasked with something, because they aren't like a person who had to be like taught this information. I don't think analogies to actual people really work, because that's not really what like this type of narrator is.
I mean, I don't see how it would completely disregard my analogy, but I don't think that it is much relevance to go on a tangent like that. So if you want to think you won that, I'll just steelman you on that, and I'll say, okay, sure, my analogy is false, and it is a false equivalency. I don't think it would matter, because either way there would still be some necessary presupposition to it. But this argument is clearly not going anywhere. You've presented the exact same refutations. They don't mean the same thing to me. So, if you have any other, like, scaling, or if you want to go onto hacks or any other win condition, that's fine with me. That this is all up to you, right? You've been amicable in this debate, so I don't mind.
Yeah. I mean, no. I am willing to admit, I think everyone everywhere overhypes me a lot. Like, I am the most bumfuck casual debater you will ever meet. Like, I don't know what half the words you're fucking saying mean. That's why I don't debate, like, anything outside of, like, fictional debates.
Right, and I think that's intellectually honest of you, and I think that you're being amicable, so I'm not gonna, like, constantly call you a retard in a debate if you're being amicable. So if you're cool, I'm cool. That's fine.
How fast do you think Goku is?
That's an interesting question. I think that he'd be, I guess, faster than light. No. Faster than sound.
Why faster than sound?
Oh, well, he's just shown feats to go at, like, he's went across Namek, and whenever he's went across Namek, that's faster than the speed of sound. And in, like, just merely, like, a couple of seconds.
Where did I put that one? I haven't had to dig into my goddamn Xehanort folder in ages.
I mean, I know you have other characters. You have, like, the Exalted or something.
Well, yeah, but I don't really like debating that one. It's so much fucking bullshit. It's more so something that I read to, like, scale the cosmology than something I use for versus debates.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, take your time. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah, there's like a statement by the creator of Kingdom Hearts, Tetsuya Nomura, that Xehanort with his magic is able to transcend time and travel throughout time.
Oh, well, I think that traveling throughout time is incoherent.
In what sense?
Well, how, I'm not saying that since we can't do it in reality, it's false, but, he's saying that he transcends time, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, well, if he transcends time, right, would entail that he's beyond his past and he's beyond his future, correct?
Essentially.
How can he evade his past and his future? I don't know. Like, if he transcends time, he has to be, like, both, right?
Well, no, he wouldn't necessarily have to be both. It's more so that in the context, it's essentially that by when he uses his magic, he's able to move freely throughout time as if he were not bound by it. He doesn't exist across all of time simultaneously. He just isn't bound by it. He doesn't encompass all of time. He's just not bound by it.
Okay, so what do you mean by? Do you think that? What do you mean, like, as in, like, a linear time sense? What do you mean?
It's essentially he can exist at any point in time, but he doesn't exist at every point in time.
Okay, so wait. Oh, it's not that he does, but it's that he can. Okay, yeah. Is that what you're saying? Okay, well, how can he? How can he exist at three places at once? It's contradictory.
Why? Why can't he just split his being between three different places?
Okay, well, he's not splitting his being. He's just not bound by this concept. And this concept would entail some syntax error or contradiction.
Contradiction of what exactly?
Well, how can he be at three places at once? Because he's not just splitting his being. He's being there completely, three places at once, and there's no difference. He's just there.
Wait, where are you getting, like, three places at once from?
Well, the present, the past, and the future.
Well, yeah, as I said, he doesn't exist in all points of time simultaneously. He just
right. But he can, right.
It's not that when he moves through time, he isn't existing across multiple points at the same time, unless, he moves through time to a point where another version of himself exists.
Right, well, no, you can't do that. I think that the theory of time travel is just incoherent to this universe.
Well, yeah, I mean, tons of different universes have their own rules for time travel.
Right, and I think the rules entail contradiction. Like, I think that...
contradiction with what?
Yeah, here, I'll explain it. So I think that, I get what you're saying. It's not that he literally is. It's that he can, but he just has no reason to at this point, right? Like,
no, it's not even that. It's like, he moves through time, and he doesn't necessarily, like, exist at multiple points in time when he does it. He just moves himself to other points in time.
Does he transcend linear time?
Essentially.
Well, how can he transcend linear time? He still abides by linear time.
No, he
yes.
doesn't.
Well, do you think that there's a difference between him sitting there and fighting what's the main character's name? Sora, and like, you know, whenever he time travels, let's say that, right? There's a difference between those two things. Like, they're linearly different. Or that's a bit weird of me to say, but you get what I'm saying, right? There's like a different time frame between them.
Well, there isn't really any time frame at all.
There has to be.
Because the battles take place beyond, you know, time.
Well, that's circular. You're saying that
it's just like the consequence of transcending time would be that any battle he takes place in you wouldn't be able to fit it into a time frame because, you know, he's outside of time.
I want to put this to where it's not verbose, right? It's circular reasoning because I'm saying that, okay, well, this is incoherent because how can he do this? Because that would still abide by linear time. And then you're saying, oh, well, it wouldn't matter because he is beyond time, right? So you're using the fact that he's beyond time for that premise. You're just doing you're just like begging the question, right?
Well, no, what I'm basically saying is you're saying these actions are bound by linear time. I'm saying they're not because he exists outside of time. Like,
well, that's begging the question.
The actions would just occur in zero time.
Right, but that's begging the question. You're using the conclusion, or using one of the premises as the conclusion. Right, that's begging the question, definitionally. Or one of the reasonings, or you're using the claim as the reasoning, right? I'll just put it like that.
Well, it's more so like, if he were to exist outside of time, these things you're saying wouldn't apply, right?
What do you mean? My bad.
Like if he does exist outside of time, then his actions wouldn't take place in a time frame. I'm not sure where that came into it at all.
Well, there's a time frame between whenever he's fighting somebody and whenever, let's say, like, time travels, right? So I'm saying since there's a difference between those two time frames.
Wait. Why is there a difference between them?
Why is there a difference between them? Because there's a different causality between them. See here, do you know what causality is?
Okay, wait, why would the causality be different? Both of them are just movements he does.
Right, and that's a causality. See, the causation would be like, okay, so the causative, just the roots, right? The causative would be like Xehanort running, and the causation would be like Xehanort moving through time, right? So there's a different causation and causality, causation and causative for whenever, let's say, he fights Sora, right? And then whenever he fights, or whenever he goes through time, right? I don't know if that's actually the time frame. I'm just using that as an example. So it would just be retarded, or my bad, I don't want to use that word. It would be incoherent. It'd be incoherent for him to transcend time.
I still don't really understand why it would be incoherent. It more so just seems like you're saying, like, things he does take time when they don't. Like, there isn't really evidence that they do.
Well, I mean, I think that I just demonstrated that, but feel free to disagree. That's fine. Okay, so I just say that Goku would speed blitz since you haven't presented anything else and he'd one shot. But do you have him like a hacks or ability?
Well, no. Okay, so back to, like, you know,
unless you want to continue on this point, yeah.
Yeah, like the immeasurable speed thing, right? Like, that's basically what it is. Like, how would him having immeasurable speed not be valid? I still don't understand what you're saying about, like, him having a different time frame when he fights than when he, like, moves.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I'll explain. Okay, so since there's a different time frame, that would essentially entail that he's still abiding by this linear form of time.
Well, no. Like, what are you using to say that it's on a different time frame?
Oh, because, as I said, there's a different causation and a different causative for two different things. So for the Sora, whenever he fights, right, let's say he throws punch, right? He throws big punch. That is causation. Or that is the causative. And then Sora gets hit in the face. That is causation. Okay? And then there's him fighting Sora more. That's the causative. And then he goes through time. That's the causation. It's literally just basic laws of, like, causality. That's all it is.
Well, yeah, but the causation for Xehanort transcending time is just this magical ability he has. It isn't something that is like activated by specific actions.
Well, okay. Well, if it's just an ability, then it isn't a measurable speed.
Well, no, it would just be an ability that grants him that level of speed. It would basically just be. It's basically just like
what's his base speed? Because if he has to grant that speed, how can he grant that speed to himself at a measurable speeds?
Yes, that is actually something he did in the plot of the universe. His young self traveled to the future to give himself the ability to travel into the past, to give himself the ability to travel into the future.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, if it's just like an infinite like nexus, right? If it's like a nexus chain, sure, okay, yeah, we can go through that. Well, in order to give himself, or in order to give his past self that ability, did he have to activate the ability?
Yeah.
Okay. How do you know that ability and its activation was at measurable speeds?
Why does it need to be if I'm using a version of him that already has it?
Well, the point is that you're saying that he's activating this ability to give him.
Well, no. I'm not saying he's activating it, but when he gave him.